Macmillan Audio presents Button Man by Andrew Gross. Read for you by Edoardo Ballerini. To Fred P. Pomerantz, Pop. Only wish you were around to read this. Lies is lies, howsoever they come, and they come from the father of lies. Don't you tell no more of them, Pip. That ain't the way to get out of being common. If you can't get to be uncommon through going straight, you'll never get to do it by going crooked. Charles Dickens, Great Expectations. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, what am I? Rabbi Hillel, quoted in the Pirkei Avot. Prologue, 1905. For the rest of her life, Bela Rabishevsky would remember the day the Kahal Jezrun temple burned as the day she lost her son. She stood over the coal stove that day in the cramped third-floor apartment on Essex Street, on Manhattan's Lower East Side, that she, her husband, and her 6 children shared. The heat from the steaming pot, wafting with the sweltering August temperature outside, was almost too much to bear. She stirred the krupnik, the soup of boiled meat, potatoes, and cabbage that would be the family's meal that night. The twins, Shmuel and Harold, who were 6, and even on a calm day a handful, were in the midst of a game they called Zuzim, a version of tag from back in Minsk, where the family had emigrated from 3 years ago. Except, as always, the game's playing field stretched far beyond the 3 sparse rooms that the 8 of them shared, onto the roof, up and down the rickety staircase of their building's 5 stories, eventually spilling onto the street, amid the endless throng of horse-drawn wagons, push-carts, and shouting peddlers there. "Tu Zuzim!" Harold declared, digging his fist into his brother's back, almost knocking his mother into the steaming pot. Shmuel, who always played the part of the victim, cried out in Yiddish, "Oh, he hurt me, Mama! Make him stop!" "Genug is genug, Harold!" his mother barked back. "Enough is enough. You'll spill the soup, and then none of us will have a thing to eat tonight, and I'll have to tell your father who was to blame." "Yes, Mama," Harold said, softly enough to appear contrite, but with an impish smile creeping through as he continued to taunt his twin. "3, Zuzim!" Shmuel called out from his hiding place, upping the ante. Their eyes met in a kind of wordless dare. Then suddenly Shmuel bolted past him and out the front door, bounding up the stairs, with Harold whining, "See, Mama, he's just a little cheat, that's all he is." Then he took off after him. "Boys! You must stop it now!" Bella shouted after them, wiping her arm across her brow. "This silly game has gone too far." But by that time they were already out the door, and all she heard was the heavy pounding of their footsteps as they ran up to the 4th and 5th floor. Harold, the older by 4 minutes, always played the instigator in these affairs. Anything to keep him from doing his chores or schoolwork. But when sufficiently riled, it was Shmuel who in the end would lose his temper and up their rivalry to a whole new level. "Anna, please, the soup is about to boil. Go and find the boys," Bella called to her daughter. 9-year-old Anna was practicing ballet steps near the window while keeping an eye on Morris, the youngest, who was almost 2. Her older sister Bess was 11, but always lost in a book, so she wasn't much help around the house. Dance had been Anna's dream since she first put her face to the window of the Minchnoff School on Norfolk Street and watched the students practicing inside. But of course, all she could do was watch, as they could hardly afford such a luxury as to send her to classes there. When they moved here, Jakob, who had studied to be a rabbi back in Russia, could only find work as the shamash of their temple, opening and closing the doors, sweeping up after services, and adjusting the Torah scroll each morning to the reading of that day. "Tell them they must behave."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?